it down, speak louder. That was my name. Yeah. Eagerly leaving the scene to go and chase his dream. On a mission, wishing ever since he was only 15. With sincerity, I'll never give in to the popularity. The clarity's a rarity when you're compared to me. Now where were we? Where were we? And I don't mean to be cocky, but I'm never doing this sloppy. And all that hating, it's not me. So I'm original, no copy. Can't copy my swag. I'm spitting, licking, twisting like my name was Mickey Fats. And I'm the 11th freshman on the cover, double XL. Didn't get any recognition cause I forgot how to spell. Fixed it with the quick lyricisms, now I gotta spit quick as hell. Now I'm doing it well. Ain't hard, but I bet you can.
What's up, everybody? This is Sam with Shady Sports Network as we just finally unveiled the new channel name. Got a couple special guests joining me today. My first is LaCedric. LaCedric is actually going to be joining the channel going forward. So let's, without further ado, give him his introduction.
Yep. Gemini static. They ain't ready. Back at it again. They ain't ready. I need the dollar, that's what I need. What we need. Yep. What I need, the dollar, that's what I need.
Yeah.
What I need, yeah. Said I need the dollar, that's what I need. I gotta get it. If I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Look, tell me, my shit, can I at least get a penny for my thoughts? Can I put my 2 cents in while I'm on the spot?
What's up, bro? How's it going?
It's going, man. It's going. Can you hear me?
Definitely. I can hear you fine.
Cool. It's going good, man. It's crazy to hear that in the headphones again.
How long has it been?
Oh man, it's been at least like 2 years, I'd say.
Really?
I kind of listen to it every once in a while. I won't lie.
Okay. I was going to say, I mean, dude, you guys made such great music for so many years there. Like, how could you not listen to your own stuff?
Right.
So for anybody who doesn't know, I met this man as Gemini. He used to rap quite often and was amazing at it. That was actually one of his songs. It was a remix of I Need a Dollar by Aloe Back. And it's still on YouTube to this day. So you can go check that out right now. Look up Static and Gemini. I Need a Dollar, and it should pop up. It's also in multiple of my playlists, and I will link that in the video or the comments below later on.
Heck yeah, thanks, bro. Thank you.
Absolutely. Their music can also be found on SoundCloud still to this day. That's actually how I've got it on multiple of our introductions now.
Yeah, that's why I listen to it mostly on SoundCloud.
Exactly. You can download it there too. So if you want to bring it with you on your phone and whatnot, it's definitely the way to go, in my opinion. So how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. Enjoying the weather. It's finally getting nice out, so I can't complain too much.
No doubt. It was a bit chilly this morning, but it's definitely getting nicer out this morning or now.
Yeah.
So we got lots to talk about, as you know. I mean, this off season's been nuts. We've had nothing but quarterback movement, trades,
yeah,
all kinds of stuff. So where do you want to begin, man? You're a Broncos fan. You want to start?
Oh man, I mean, how can you not? You know, it's funny. I think it's a pretty big story. You know, especially around here in Denver. I mean, the conversation is always about the quarterback. No matter who else you have, if you don't have the quarterback, you ain't got the team, and we've seen that for 6 years now. Just every year, just having to settle, whether it be Mark Sanchez or Joe Flacco or, Drew Lock or Paxton Lynch. And, there's a list. There's an actual laundry list of quarterbacks that we've had in the past 6 years that we knew it, they just weren't going to get the job done. And now, finally, it looks like we made the right moves to bring in somebody who's proven, who's a winner. Although, I feel like most of Broncos country hated Russ, for the past few years until a couple of days ago. But that's the way of sports. That's how it goes. Just want to win and want to see your team compete. And it looks like it's a breath of fresh air. I don't know. I feel personally, I have more confidence in the team. And it sucks that at the time that we're doing it, the rest of the AFC West is reloading, except for Kansas City. It seems like they're restructuring. I wouldn't necessarily say not reloading, but the loss of Tyreek Hill helps us for sure. Because I feel like we're gearing up to have to, go against him and Pat Mahomes and Kelsey and try to compete with them. But now we have to compete with, the Chargers have always been, low key. I feel like low key deadly. Not to get off subject, back to Russ though. I think it's a good trade. We traded away a lot, but it's a proven commodity for unproven and, younger players. So I don't think we lost as much as we gained in experience.
I would definitely agree with that assessment. Obviously you can't argue with what Russell's been able to do throughout his career. And as you mentioned before, Broncos fans are familiar with what he was capable of doing in the Super Bowl when he embarrassed Denver's defense. I think it was like 42-13 or something like that in the game.
Yeah.
But you're right. Basically, Denver's had a laundry list of quarterbacks in the past 6 years since Manning left. And it's kind of funny to think that at that time we were pushing Manning out the door. Everybody was
right.
Like, old noodle arm Manning, let's get him out of here. And now it's been Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler and all these different guys that just haven't lived up. It's actually kind of ironic. I wanted to get your opinion. Teddy Bridgewater, prior to coming to Denver last year, he had a career high of 14 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Last season with Denver, he actually had a career season. What did you think of Teddy Bridgewater's performance in Denver?
I thought it was solid for sure. But that's all I thought it was. I thought it was just a safe bet. And we saw that, throughout the season. Although, when we came out to start the year, the first 4 games, we came out strong against, not necessarily contenders, but we came out really strong. And then as the year went on and the hits went on, and it was reminded like, oh, yeah, this is football. This is the AFC West. This is, fast-paced, hard-hitting. It was great. I thought he had an excellent season. And as a journeyman, he's awesome. But we want to win games here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to be in the playoffs winning games. We don't want 14-point, 21-point games. I think I have it right here. The Broncos threw 20 touchdowns with 9 interceptions as a team last year. Russell Wilson threw 25 touchdowns with 6 interceptions, missing 4 games. We want the opportunity to be able to win games, not necessarily feel like we were in games.
I definitely agree with that. Without living in Denver, you probably don't quite understand the mentality here. It is literally Super Bowls or bust. If you're not in the Super Bowl, you're basically irrelevant as a team in Denver. We've been spoiled throughout John Elway's career, into Peyton Manning's career, and hopefully now with Russell Wilson here, which I truly believe he's going to bring us into the next generation of great Denver Broncos play. But moving on, as you mentioned before, the AFC West is looking pretty insane this year. The Chargers added Khalil Mack via trade. They also signed J.C. Jackson from the Patriots. Re-signed Mike Williams, probably blanking a couple moves there that off the top of my head. The Raiders added Devontae Adams and retained Derek Carr, despite some trade speculation behind him earlier on in the season. And with the Chiefs, yes, like you mentioned, they got rid of Tyreek Hill, but they were able to keep Frank Clark and a couple other key members of their team. So how tough do you think the AFC West is going to be this year?
Very tough. I expect the AFC West to go undefeated against the rest of the conferences, but that's my feeling. I don't think they will necessarily. It's the NFL, but it feels like a toss-up. It's always a toss-up though in the AFC. Honestly, in the AFC West, even when it didn't seem like they were loading up on all the big names, but we've had like the top at least 3 of the top 15 quarterbacks in the league. All the teams have solid wide receiver duos. I don't, except for the Raiders, which now they do with Devontae Adams, they have a super solid wide receiver core. I think top to bottom, the AFC West is always hard, and it's just gotten harder. It's gotten a bit faster, I feel. And I feel like all 4 teams, all of their games are going to be must-watch TV every Sunday. You got to look and see what they're doing, because at least, we got to have at least 3 teams in the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Honestly, I would be surprised if there weren't. At least all 4 teams in playoff contention toward the end of the season and 2 to 3 in the playoffs. Yeah, it would be a shock if it wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. So moving on, I've seen a couple other moves that the Broncos have made. They brought in an offensive lineman from Green Bay. I'm not familiar with his name right off the top of my head. And a couple other moves. What did you make of what they did outside of Russell Wilson?
They helped out their cornerbacks by getting, what's his name, Kawan Williams. Not sure if I'm saying it right, but he seems like he's a glue guy. This dude has a knack for the ball. He's had 4 interceptions and a combined 301 tackles in his career, and I think he's only been in the league for like 6 years. So he definitely knows where the ball is, and I think that'll help covering tight ends. Also with Alex Singleton from the Eagles, I think they really put thought into the fact that we were getting beat by every tight end we went up against, the past 2-3 years. So I feel like that really helps. Also with like J.R. Reed, he's a young player to come in and do good for us. And also with Josh Johnson, I think that's a good solid backup. Russ he doesn't seem to get hurt much, but it does feel good knowing that, we have somebody that truly has experience, not just someone that's just there because they're there, but someone that has experience. And he's been on a good amount of teams, in his career. So I think that'll be great. And that'll give us, I can't think of the word right now, but that'll definitely give us assurance, if Russ were to go down, that hopefully things wouldn't slow down too much. We can keep him moving and then just get back on track when he's back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Honestly, I would say that the Denver Broncos in general went from probably the worst quarterback room in 2021 to the best quarterback room in the AFC West in general. It's quite the change going from Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock to Josh Johnson and Russell Wilson, who are both mobile guys and, like you said, have played for a long time in the league. I think Wilson's been in here for a decade, and Johnson's been, I think it's 14 seasons, and he's played for like 90% of the teams in the league. So, he's very versed. He can learn an offense quick, and he's a guy who can hold it down for a couple games.
That's true. And we still have like, what do we have? Like 3 picks in the top 100. So we still have, the ability to bring in a young quarterback too and groom him, for a few years. I know Russ said he wanted to stay here for 10 to 12 years, and that'd be nice for sure. I'll take it. But, it wouldn't hurt, to try to pick up other options as well and see how they grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would definitely think that given John Elway's past with the way he did it with bringing in Manning and then drafting Osweiler, it would not be out of the picture to say they do draft a quarterback with one of those higher picks and develop him behind Wilson. Especially given that Wilson, like we mentioned, is kind of a mobile guy. He runs a little bit more, and he is coming off an injury, albeit one that is kind of rare, given that he had mallet finger. I had never even heard of that prior to last season.
Yeah, I don't know about most of the injuries. But I just thought it was his thumb, but hopefully it seems like he recovered from it, and they're already out there throwing in San Diego, so hopefully we don't have to deal with too many injuries, because we did kind of give away a lot for him, so there's really no other way to go from the direction we're headed in right now, I feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for those of you who didn't catch the intro, this is LaCedric Green. He is my new co-host on Shady Sports Network. We are working to build something great, and I hope you all join us and stick with the show going on in the future, because there's going to be a lot more of this back and forth and more analysis from other people outside of just me, which I'm sure everybody's looking forward to. But moving on throughout the NFL, what'd you make of the Carson Wentz trade? What did you think about Indy getting 2 third-round picks, one being a conditional second for him?
I feel like Indy's kind of in a position that the Broncos have been in, or since Andrew Luck left. I mean, shoot, pretty much since Peyton Manning left, they've been searching, and Andrew Luck was a Band-Aid. And then, I mean, Carson Wentz just wasn't it. He was hurt most of the season, and then when he did play, it really wasn't much to be seen, so at least they got something for him. I'll say that. It seems like Jacksonville was just willing and I guess kind of had to give anything for everybody they picked up this offseason. But I think Matt Ryan's an upgrade for sure. And I'm excited to see what they do. Their division isn't the strongest, and especially with Deshaun Watson for sure gone, it kind of seems like it's theirs for the taking. So I think that was a good move for them to move on from Carson Wentz as opposed to trying to, show solidarity and sticking with them. If it doesn't work, you gotta move on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like you mentioned, they've been looking for a quarterback basically since Manning left. I mean, Luck was there for a few years, but he was hurt quite often because for some odd reason they didn't know how to build an offensive line in front of him.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I kind of wish he would return, but that's neither here nor there. So moving forward, they have Matt Ryan. Carson Wentz is off in Washington and will play the Eagles.
Washington. Yeah, sorry.
2 times a season. It's all good, man. Can't remember everything. There was so much stuff going on this season. So let's move on. Let's talk about the Tyreek Hill trade. What did you think about Miami giving up 5 draft picks for a receiver?
Yeah. I mean, everything that's gone on is kind of things you haven't seen before in the NFL. It's starting to look like the NBA as far as these trades and these free agent signings. But, I mean, Miami's been right there on the cusp, the past 2 years. They ended their season last year, on like an 8-0 run after going 0-7 to start the beginning of the year or something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, and, I don't know if they're a wide receiver away. But now they have 2 speedy wide receivers. So, I mean, pick your poison, their plan is to just, I guess, have Tua sling it down the field. And, I don't know how many wide receivers have carried a team to the Super Bowl, but they feel like he's the missing piece. And that's just kind of what it is these days. It kind of seems like if you want that person, then you're really going to have to give a lot away for them. And, from what it looks like, the draft isn't too strong, as far as like key positions this year in the earlier rounds. So it's looking like you can get a lot of solid draft picks in the late rounds. So I feel like teams are looking at that as well. And it's Tyreek Hill though. If you want him, then that's what it took. And it was between Miami and the Jets, I think it was. And it's he's from Miami, so might as well, go bask in the sun. I'm sure it wasn't a hard decision for him, but for them, it seems like, they have the lawsuit going on with Brian Flores and just kind of, same position as the Jaguars. You got to do what you got to do to save face, and bringing in a big name as big as Tyreek Hill definitely get some fans in the seats.
Absolutely. Honestly, I think you said it best when you pointed out that this draft isn't necessarily super top heavy in terms of talent. That could be definitely contributing to a lot of these trades we're seeing. Teams are giving up first and second round picks like they're lollipops out there right now. But basically, moving forward, I mean, it seems like teams are more apt to build super teams. Do you think this has anything to do with the Buccaneers and the Rams winning the last 2 Super Bowls?
I feel like it does. Like, you see, the last 2 Super Bowls were won by teams that said, you know what, we're going all in, and we'll figure out the future later. Because that's what it is, really. And as a fan, that's what I want to see. Like, I understand. Like, I want, years of dominance, and they should be able to build years from having successful seasons. But at the same time, like, I'm watching this season right now. I want to see my team do great right now, and if you have the chance to do it, why not take that chance? In NFL, a proven commodity is always going to dominate over unproven. So if you can get it done now, then get it done now, and maybe figure out the rest after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can't remember exactly who said it, and I'm probably going to get blasted by somebody in the comments for it. But somebody said the NFL stands for not for long. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was Jerry Glanville. He put that in such a correct manner, it's not even funny. So now general managers realize they may only have 3-4 years to build a team. So, hey, if you got a quarterback sitting out there that you can go trade 8 people for and secure your job for the next 5 seasons, then it builds a lot of faith. It gets you through the point of the rough patch of like making your name known as a general manager, and then you get to the point where you have some faith with the team, and then you can maybe make some mistakes and not get fired for it the next day. So I think that definitely is going to benefit George Payton in Denver, that he was able to go get an elite franchise quarterback and somebody he can lean on and help recruit free agents for the next few years. Do you think Russell Wilson had a big impact on bringing in free agents this offseason?
I mean, it seems like he has. Well, Randy Gregory definitely said he has. He's George Payton said he told Russ to reach out, and Russ called and texted Randy Gregory 8 times. I wish I had that persistence in getting stuff done. But so I mean, it's proven. It's fact that he did reach out, and that he's still reaching out trying to get free agents. He came out and said he wanted to build a super team, which is crazy because I don't recall hearing any other players say that in the NFL. You see it in the NBA, and you can kind of see it in the NFL, but it's not so much an individual sport like the NBA. So, super team, I guess you get like all these top players together, but then you still have to get them to play together. But Russ, he came out and said he wanted to build a super team. So I do believe that he's reaching out to every free agent, every player on expiring contracts, every friend he has that has complained to him about their team or their culture or whatnot, and just trying to bring them to the Broncos. And we saw the same thing when we saw when Peyton Manning came here. He brought DeMarcus Ware came here, and Emmanuel Sanders, and all of a sudden, we just have this team that's, phenomenal, after looking at something so stale. And it already even feels like that with the Broncos. I mean, we had a pretty solid group already, before he came here. So I don't, I definitely think that he's not trying to bring in every big name because he knows what we have here already. That's why he chose to come here. But he's definitely picking up like a solid roster of players for us for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, with a guy like that at the helm after having Teddy Bridgewater and all these other guys we talked about earlier, it's definitely going to help George Payton help a little bit as far as bringing in players, convincing them to take less money, stuff like that, which is going to be huge when, like you said, every team's building a super team now, especially in the AFC West, like we alluded to earlier with everything that's going on.
Yeah, but I do want to say, though, and I mean, George Payton's been killing it too. It's not, even though we did trade away, King's ransom for Russ, I mean, George Payton was voted as having the #1 draft class last year. Javonte Williams is a starter for sure. Pat Surtain is he's going to be a Pro Bowler. He's going to be all pro for sure. So it's not like we just have, this top heavy, older team. We have some solid young players in our team as well, too. And you got, I give George Payton a lot of credit for that. I really like how they've been building up the team the past year and the direction they've been headed in with everything. It's refreshing. They're revamping the look. We're about to get a new owner. We just got a new coach, Nathaniel Hackett, albeit he's a younger coach. We have a younger front office. But now we have an experienced quarterback. So it's kind of like we have the skill kind of balancing out in every aspect. And it does feel really good.
I can definitely feel that. It's been a rough couple of years being an Eagles fan, so I'm taking a little bit of solace in the fact that the Broncos might be pretty good this year. Although I've got hope for the Eagles. We'll see. So you kind of led me into my next question. So the Broncos replaced Vic Fangio, a very experienced defensive-minded head coach, with Nathaniel Hackett, an offensive-minded head coach that had a hand in 13-3 seasons in a row in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Yet one thing people are pointing to as kind of like a con for bringing him in is the fact that he's never really called an offense. Does that worry you at all?
No. I mean, the coach, he has assistant coaches, he has people to help him grow and learn that. And we all have to start somewhere, he's been with a few different teams. And now he has Russ, now he has, an experienced head in that room with him, helping him, devise those game plans and get those plays together. So it's not like he's just going to be out there just calling the plays on his own. He has an offensive coordinator. So I don't know, I don't know much on that side, of the house, but I do feel like that won't hinder him. I mean, Vic Fangio didn't call plays on offense, and, he managed to pull out, somewhat average season. So I'm excited to see what Nathaniel Hackett can bring in. He has the experience from being around Aaron Rodgers, and being around Matt LaFleur and learning from them. So I think just that wealth of knowledge and experience he has will help him along. And I feel like it'll be decent. I think we'll put a good product out there, and people will be surprised in what they see from the Broncos. I really feel like they're planning to be like really explosive this year.
Oh, nice. We just had a bunch of spam comments pop up.
Nice.
Yeah, give me just a second as I go ahead and block all this stuff, because that's a little ridiculous. Figures that's the one viewer that pops on right now.
Hey, they're viewing now. That's good.
Hey, yeah, we'll take it, right? That's a good start to the fucking channel.
Right. So let me ask you, how do you feel about the Eagles and the moves they've made?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I was a little underwhelmed. I knew that we were coming into this offseason with $24 million under the cap, which is not a lot of money. I was hoping to see us get somebody like Allen Robinson. If you've watched me on other channels this offseason, I was making some bold claims that we were going to see the Super Bowl if we got Allen Robinson. I don't have to walk back those claims because he's not in Philly. So luckily, as far as that goes, I don't have to look like a fool at the end of the season if we don't make the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, we settled for Zach Pascal from Indianapolis, which I kind of saw coming all along. He had a prior relationship with Nick Sirianni, so it kind of made sense. On defense, I'm super happy that we finally prioritized linebacker.
Yeah.
You and I talked about it a little off screen. We brought in Hassan Reddick, who has 23 and a half sacks over the last couple seasons. He's basically lived in the backfield. I think he had something like 32 quarterback hits, 23 and a half sacks, and I think it was like 28 tackles for a loss as a linebacker. So that's something that we've been lacking for a lot of years. And then we brought in Kaiser White, who is a former safety in college, and he's going to play the weak side linebacker position, I believe. He has some experience in the middle as well, so we might see him move around a little bit. He did the same thing with the Chargers. But overall, like I said, I was underwhelmed. I didn't think we did quite enough heading into the draft, and I'm not particularly thrilled. I would have liked to have seen another safety added, a bigger name, but the Honey Badger's still out there, so maybe. What do you think about Hassan Reddick? Sorry to put you on the spot there. I know you probably didn't do a whole lot of research on
I
it.
haven't done any research on him, but let me pull him up right now.
That's okay. I'll give you some time. Basically, he was in Arizona. He was a first-round pick. They drafted him after he played some defensive end, even though he was 6'1", 235 pounds. They put him at outside linebacker in a 3-4. He played there for 4 seasons. The first 3 years, I think he had like 7.5 sacks total. And then his last season in Arizona, he burst on the scene, had a great season. He left for a prove-it deal with Carolina. He was there for a season, had another great year, and then Philly comes in now, bringing back the former Temple product back to Philadelphia. So did I segue you into information there well enough?
Kind of. Still a little behind, but I mean, I will say this about Philadelphia. I feel like them shoring up their linebacker core definitely helps, being in the division that they're in. I mean, you got to go against Dallas twice a year. They're probably going to be their biggest threat. So stopping their running game and, stopping, Dak at the same time, he can bootleg it out anytime, any moment, take it to the house maybe. I feel like that definitely brings a lot of help for them, in those 2 signings. I really don't know much about this guy, Reddick, but I know Arizona has had a pretty decent defense for the past 2 years. Yeah.
No worries. I didn't exactly bring that up as a topic.
Yeah, man, I'm a Broncos fan, and I definitely need to step up my NFL game, but I'm a Broncos homer, bro. I'll talk about Broncos all day, but I will look into them, and next time I'll have more information on them.
That's okay.
I have my thoughts about them.
Well, once again, for those who don't know, this is LaCedric's first live talking about football, so putting him on the spot was my mistake.
It's good.
Probably
You're
should
good,
not
man.
have done that. We basically came into this with zero preparation other than just talking about football over the past couple of weeks via Facebook Messenger. So I take the blame 100% on that. Asking you questions we didn't even prepare for. But with that being said, I'm super happy that you joined me, man. And I definitely look forward to having you on the channel more in the future. We talk Broncos, NFL, whatever. I'm just like I said, I'm excited to have somebody else on here to talk to, and I'm not going to be talking at a wall or myself forever now.
I'm excited too, man.
Definitely. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? I mean, give a little bit of a background, let people know what you're all about as far as the football world and how you got into this with me.
Well, I mean, I've been a fan of football since, Danny Warfel took the Gators to the national championship in '96. Gators fan first, Broncos fan right there. They're right up there with the Gators, but orange and blue all day. So yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of football for many years, and that was around the same time when the Broncos were doing their thing in the Super Bowl, with their back-to-back championships around that time. So, I'm just really more in love with. I love to follow the stats. I'm not really a numbers guy. I'm not going to say I'm analytical and all that, but I just love the game. I love the fact that these people are willing to go out there and just give everything. And to me, it's like an art, man. It really does. When it comes together, you can see it, when it plays out exactly how it's drawn up. And I like to see that when the teams really do, perfect their craft and make it look like an art, more of a dance out there. Not to get too deep into it, but I just love football, man. And then I've been in Denver for, since 2010, and like you said, around here it's just Broncos country, man. You bleed orange and blue, even if you don't bleed orange and blue. So I wouldn't put myself as a sports pro, but I'd say I'm definitely a fanatic, and I'm glad to be able to give my input and my thoughts about, what's going on around the NFL and touching other leagues as well. I'm just about sports. So I went to school for broadcasting back in 2014, so I do have a little bit of a background in it, but not a whole lot. This is my first time doing broadcasting, much less live broadcasting. But I'm just really excited to get on here and talk trash about teams and get people riled up and give my thoughts from a fan's perspective. Like Sam said, I also did music for a while. That's how we met and came across each other. My roommate was like 2011 or something like that. He's good friends with Sam, and we did music. I was trying to have him do music every waking moment, and Sam was one of our biggest fans. He was always there and always gave support and love on the music front and pushed us to keep going with it. So it's really exciting to come full circle and be able to do this live with you and talk sports, and we've been doing fantasy football. I don't know how long since I
think it's been 4 years now.
Something like that. 4 or 5 years. So it's cool to take, that trash talking from the fantasy football, chat to, something live. Hopefully we can, definitely get on that as the season approaches and get that ramped up and built into it as well.
Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely have to be addressing some fantasy football in here at some point. As I mentioned in the comments and the tagline above, we have another guest joining us later, Ariel. She's also a part of the Fantasy Football League, so we'll have plenty of fantasy football subjects on here. So once again, man, I appreciate you joining me. I'm going to let you go. I apologize for taking up so much of your time and getting on here late. Like I mentioned before, had to put the baby down. He was not cooperating very well, but it is what it is. We move on to a new day. But I would love to schedule another live with you coming up soon, man. Let me know when you're free, and we'll get this rolling. Maybe something more regularly scheduled. That way we can have it set up ahead of time.
Sounds good. I'm down for that for sure, man. Thank you for having me on, and I'm anxious to watch you and Ariel. She's going to talk about, I don't know, that one team that hasn't been relevant since Tom Brady left, but that's cool.
Hey, we gotta talk every team on here, right? We can't just talk Eagles, can't just talk Broncos. But
that's true. I mean, if anybody wants to hear about the Patriots, they can listen in. But I'm just joking. It's all love.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. We'll chat in the Facebook Messenger.
Cool, man. You have a great day too. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So I'm going to take a quick break before I bring Ariel in. So here is a message from our sponsors and my goofy ass, SamShady Sports Network. I wanted to take a moment out and thank the sponsors that are helping keep this channel going. In case you haven't caught it, Shady Sports Network has teamed with Seat Geek to provide you with our very own discount code SamShady. Using this code at checkout will save you $20 on every purchase, whether you're attending a football game, concert, or other sporting event. Chances are Seat Geek will offer the best deals for the event you are hoping to attend. Big shout out to Seat Geek for sponsoring this video and all my other content on YouTube, as well as the articles I write. Companies like this are helping channels like mine grow and continue to progress as content creators, in turn helping you bring more consistent and better content. So please go check out SeatGeek today, and remember to use my code SamShady at checkout to save $20. Also helping sponsor channel is eBay Sports. eBay Sports is your one-stop shop for all things sports. Whether you're after trophies, collectibles, apparel, or more, it's sports related. Go check out my special link in the description below to help support Shady Sports Network in our quest to continue growing and providing you with more sports coverage and better quality content in the future. Amazon Music is yet another partner of Shady Sports Network. I personally have been using Amazon Music for several years due to the fact that it does not require you to have solid service to listen to the music that you want to listen to. This was particularly useful in my past career where I was working inside a warehouse 12 to 16 hours a day, depending on the day. This kept me sane for many years because I was able to listen to the music that I wanted to without interruption in a place that was otherwise very, very boring if I didn't have the music. So once again, click on my link below in the description to join Amazon Music and find all the benefits that you can find on that app in particular. I personally have several music apps, but Amazon Music is my go-to because of the fact that you do not need the service. You don't get interrupted when you're in the middle of a song. It doesn't just cut out because you randomly lose service when you're walking around a building, which drives me nuts. But on to our last sponsor of the day, and this is less a sponsor, more an app I just support and happens to provide cash back to those who support it. Get Upside is an app that I have been touting for a while because it will quite literally pay you cash back to purchase gas at participating gas stations. The app is extremely user-friendly and points you to the nearest deal and lists out several so you can find the most cash back. This app is great for those who travel often, but still useful for those city drivers who don't drive too far from home because at the end of the day, it's cumulative. So you can't actually take cash back until you hit $10 without taking a fee, but you add up $10 so fast it's not even funny. I think you basically build up $10 off like 2 or 3 fill-ups, and you take that cash and immediately goes in your account within 2 to 3 days typically, and there are no catches, none whatsoever. There's no reason why you shouldn't be using this app at this point in time. It saves you money, puts money back in your pocket. It can be used at gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants, and several other things are coming down the pike in ways that I'm not even familiar with at the moment. You can use my code SAM363682 to help support Shady Sports Network today and earn yourself some extra cash back on your first purchase. This is one of those things where if you use this app and you use my code, for every gallon of gas you purchase, you're actually going to be continuing to support the channel. And this is not only helpful to me, but hopefully if you stick with us and you watch the videos that come out following this, you'll only continue to see an improvement in quality of this content, and hopefully see more content coming down the pike. Unfortunately, at this particular point, this is not a full-time position for me, but as this starts to grow and gain an audience, I'm looking to transition this into a bigger part of my life. I would love to have you guys on board. So do me a favor, check out these 4 sponsors that are doing everything they can to help keep Shady Sports Network afloat and keeping us produce content for you guys in the future. Again, check out Get Upside, Amazon Music, eBay Sports, and Seat Geek today to help support Shady Sports Network. Now, back to the content. Man, I apologize. That was painful even for me. So without further ado, here's Ariel.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague, we all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our
So joining me on my right here is Ariel. I'm so happy to have you on, Ariel. How you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing, Sam?
I definitely cannot complain. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So as Gemini mentioned, we are going to be talking about the Patriots to start off. So why don't you lead me in? You probably know a lot more about what's going on with their team than I do.
Well, I wanted to get started with the new signing of Malcolm Butler. I was honestly even surprised that he even came back. after everything with the Super Bowl with Bill, I was really surprised he even considered that, but I really like that signing. We're going to need help in the backfield, so I'm really happy about that one, especially with J.C. Jackson gone and then signing a Tyreek Hill. How are we ever going to compete with Miami and the Bills, even at that in our division? Not even to mention all the big powerhouses that just stocked up. So yeah, I was really happy about that one. Somebody who already knows the system. So.
Absolutely. That was it was definitely an interesting move. Like you said, I didn't expect him to come back out of retirement, let alone to come back to the Patriots. That was definitely surprising given what happened in the Super Bowl. Like you mentioned, that was definitely out of left field. What do you think? What kind of role do you think he's going to fill? Is he going to be the number one corner replacing Jackson?
I hope not. He's not talented enough for that. Absolutely not. But he's solid. I mean, he's going to come in as a team leader already. That's something that we need with some of the young guys. I know with Slater signing again, and then McCourty, we've got a solid, backfield and defense back there. But I really am hoping that maybe Bill wakes up and offers some money to a former corner called Gilmore.
Yeah, there you go.
We need him. I'm just not going to say it enough. Tyreek Hill, we're not going to be able to stop him at all, period. And then, we had so much trouble with the Bills. We need somebody solid back there like that. And I think we could possibly get him a little bit cheaper, just considering he is getting a little old, but he's still very talented.
Definitely. It is kind of odd to see him still on the open market given his talent, but I kind of wonder if it has something to do with the fact that he was playing through injury most of last season.
I definitely think that's what it is. It's injury and it's age. I know they don't get paid enough, after a certain age. And that's where Bill succeeds at getting, top, good free agents for cheap. So that's one of them. I hope comes back as well. I'm not too worried about our defense, even with, Kyle Van Noy gone and some of the other losses that we have. I'd really like to see Gilmore come back, though.
Absolutely. So not that it's a Patriot subject anymore, but I see that Brady jersey behind you. So let's talk Brady returning from retirement. What did you think about him pulling a Brett Favre?
You know what? I was pissed. Pissed. I'm ready for him to come home, but you know what? I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, and I don't care where he is. I still like to see him play. So I'm excited for him to come back for another season, and, if he can do it again, how about that? 8. But I was ready for him to come home, so I was kind of pissed about that.
I don't blame you there. I think it kind of came out of, once again, left field. I did not expect him to be one of the guys that would return. But then again, he alluded to it almost immediately on his own podcast, like right after he retired.
I think he was just trying to mess with the media.
Okay, so
I really, he likes to play games. And I think that's why Tampa Bay was leaving the door open for him. I think that, they had an idea that maybe, he was going to come back. So here we go.
That's kind of a hot take. I don't know if anybody caught that, but Ariel thinks that Tom Brady was doing this just to mess with us. That's crazy. I was actually going to ask you if you thought that the media forced his hand, but maybe not if that's the case.
I think that he was just pissed off about, all the accusations, and it was hindering him from actually making a correct move or, the right move for him and his family. So I think he would just wanted to take everything off the table, get left alone for a little bit, and actually make his decision.
Definitely makes sense. Out of curiosity, if the media never leaked his retirement announcement, do you think we ever get an announcement?
No.
Well, that was very definitive. So that's awesome.
I mean, you just got to know the guy too.
Yeah, true.
He likes to mess with people. He's a jokester at the end of the day. He's a businessman, but he likes to play games.
That's very true. I mean, if anybody's watched how him and Peyton Manning interact, there is a very, very not serious relationship there. So it kind of shows off Brady and Manning's funny side, which has always kind of been fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I saw a funny quote from Manning this morning, telling Brady he owes him his letter and his wine bottle back from his retirement.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Gemini said he feels that the media pissed Brady off, and that's why he partially announced his retirement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we're on the same page there, buddy.
So, what do you make of the rumors that Miami's trying to put together a trade to bring in Brady?
You know what? That's not going to happen. I don't think he wants to do something like that. Miami's too big of a mess right now for Brady wanting his name attached to it. Maybe before the accusations of their former coach, who Brady's very close with. Maybe if that stuff hadn't come up, maybe, it'd be considered. He is building a home in Miami. His wife has a little bit more business out there. They're not too far from there right now. But, I think that's where some of those were coming. But I don't think Brady's considering that at all, especially with all the new signings. Logan Ryan just signed with Tampa, so I don't think he's going anywhere. He wants another ring, and he wants to end on a high note. So if he gets it this year, I think he's done.
I agree. I've heard lots of reports that he's out there, recruiting free agents back to Tampa and stuff like that. I just don't think he would do all of that and then turn around and, facilitate a trade to Miami. I think he's coming back for another year with Arians.
I agree. And then I think that's the reason that we got rid of Shaq Mason. He wants Shaq. I was really pissed off that Bill did that one. I don't know why we're giving anything to Tampa. We already gave him Gronk. We already gave him Tommy. I think they've gotten enough from us. But there's a reason that Brady wants Shaq. He's great, and he wants a little bit more protection.
Absolutely. I actually kind of was surprised to see Logan Ryan go down to Tampa. I mean, it makes a lot of sense given the connection to Brady, but I was actually kind of expecting him to land in New England with the Patriots.
So was I.
I guess, he went south so he could enjoy the sun. Hard to blame him there.
I think Tyreek did the same exact thing.
Absolutely.
Come on. You want to go get paid millions and go live in Miami? Absolutely.
No doubt. I think he got like 120 million guaranteed to go down there too. So that's going to build him a nice big mansion right there on the beach so he can enjoy it every day.
Cake.
Exactly. Doesn't sound like a bad way to live life right at the moment, given that it's been like 30 degrees out lately.
Yeah, right. It was 60, almost 70 yesterday, and then I walk outside and it seems like it's gonna rain. So I want some Miami heat right now.
No doubt. So let's see. Moving on to other news around the AFC. What did you make of the Russell Wilson trade?
Oh, that was great. I think that was awesome of the Broncos. I hate the Broncos. I have worked for the Broncos, and I absolutely hate the Broncos. But that was awesome. I think that was way better than them wanting to get Aaron Rodgers over here any day. Nobody wants to deal with that diva. But Russell Wilson, solid guy on and off the field. That's exactly who you want as your quarterback. And they can come in and actually make some moves this season and win some games.
Absolutely. I definitely think he's going to put a lot more people in the stands and generally draw back that Broncos fan base that has kind of fallen off the past 5-6 years, like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you think their offense is going to look? I mean, with Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, and Cortland Sutton, with Russell Wilson there.
Yeah, those names all together are fantastic. I want to know who's going to be the running back. I think that's really going to solidify the offense right there. I really think they're going to make another move of some sort. Maybe it's in the draft or something like that for the running back. But then after that, I think they're solid. Obviously, with their division, I don't know how well that's going to go in the standings, but they're going to be able to compete this year, and that's exciting. Just living in Denver, like, come on, you want the home team to do some good. So that'll be exciting for everybody here in Denver for sure. Absolutely. And I'm excited to have Russell here.
Absolutely. It would be interesting to see them take another running back for sure. I definitely think they're a kind of team that likes to run a running back by committee. So even with Javonte Williams as the starter, like Cedric mentioned earlier, they're definitely going to be making a move to bring somebody in, whether it's bringing back Melvin Gordon or, like you said, in the draft. Moving on, what do you think about the Raiders adding Devontae Adams?
First of all, don't get me started on these Raiders, all right? We just lost our offensive coordinator. I love Josh McDaniels more than anything, but he is now, over there, and I think he's doing really well. He's taken some of our expatriates and brought them over there. Devontae Adams, are you kidding me? How did he land that? He did something, but that's going to be amazing just for that division.
No doubt. I was actually, looking back, kind of surprised. I mean, if you look at the Tyreek Hill trade and you look at the Devontae Adams trade, I mean, the Raiders literally got Adams for cheaper than Hill. And if nobody has come close to the stats Adams put on paper the past couple seasons.
Right?
Again, he
He's
went
younger.
For a first and a second. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I couldn't believe that either. I don't know what he did to bring him in like that. And then, just with Tyreek Hill going over to Miami for as much as they paid for him, and then just Devontae, and he's just so much younger. I don't understand it. His build is better, right? And I was gonna bring that up as a point of why Kansas City even wanted Juju versus Tyreek Hill, and it's his size. He can go up there, he can reach for those balls. Tyreek, he's gonna outrun him, but can he compete for that ball?
Yeah, 100%. You're not wrong. I mean, I think we are seeing more and more teams kind of try to find those bigger receivers because defensive backs are naturally getting bigger as we go on. You see more 6'1", 6'2" cornerbacks out there that can literally, go up over these 5'9" receivers like Tyreek Hill, even though he is versatile as can be. Now, obviously, you alluded to it. Josh McDaniels is in. I almost said Oakland, Las Vegas with the Raiders. Do you think this has anything to do with his past with the Broncos and how it all ended here?
I don't. I think that's how he got the job because the Raiders don't really care, and they're a little bit on the border side of things, just to put it lightly. So I don't think they really care about his past or what he's been accused of or anything like that. They just want to win games. And I really think that Josh can do it. I still believe in him, So I'm happy for him.
Absolutely. I think we would be lying to ourselves if we said Josh McDaniels is not a good coach. I mean, you don't end up at this level for as long as he has been and be as successful as he has as an offensive coordinator without being a great coach. I mean, he even had a little bit of success in Denver prior to cutting a punter and then randomly starting a losing streak. But that's a subject for another day. So anyway, what do you think about Deshaun Watson and his trade to the Browns and his $230 million guaranteed contract?
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up. That's outrageous. That's outrageous I guess they got money to do it, but he needs people around him. Jarvis Landry is still a free agent right now. I don't think they're going to bring him back. I don't think Jarvis even wants to be there anymore. He's at the end of his career. Who's his wide receiver is going to be? That team is in such disarray already. Why would you do that? But I love Deshaun, so I think he's going to succeed anywhere he goes. But, that's depending on, the coaches and how the organization handles the rest of the season.
Absolutely. So you are aware, they did actually go and sign a couple receivers. They got Amari Cooper from Dallas for a fifth round pick. And then they signed Allen Robinson, unfortunately. I was really bummed about that.
Oh, well, then that changes the entire subject, doesn't it?
But to be fair,
I completely forgot about those ones.
You're good. There's been so much going on this offseason. It's literally impossible to keep everything on track. The only reason I remember those two is because they directly affected the Eagles, basically, in my mind. Obviously, Dallas lost Amari Cooper, so that was a huge step for me. And then, like I mentioned, I really wanted Allen Robinson in Philly. So when he signed with Cleveland, it was kind of like, what the hell is going on over there?
Yeah.
I kind of think it's surprising to see Cleveland do the whole super offense type deal again, considering they tried this with Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. What do you think about their whole team building philosophy the past couple of years, how they're acquiring just big name after big name after big name?
Well, you can't really build a team around Baker Mayfield. That was the problem. He was not the leader that they needed him to be, and he didn't have the skill. I think they may be more successful with this trio than previously. I mean, they got some older guys. The quarterback was young, wasn't a leader, and then they had OBJ and Jarvis, who we're a little bit older, and Allen is way young, so they can actually do something with him. And then Watson has gotten his feet wet into the NFL, where he knows how to be that leader. He knows how to block out the media and just play football. So I think they may be really successful, much more successful than the previous trio, I will say.
Absolutely. So in case you're just now joining us, to my right here is Ariel. She's actually my former boss, current co-host. So she's a member of our fantasy football league. Like we mentioned earlier, there will be lots of fantasy football talk on this channel throughout the season. She will hopefully be joining me again in the future, assuming she's enjoying herself now. And we will definitely be doing this more in the future. But I just wanted to do a quick introduction for anybody just joining us. We are not done yet. So get your comments in, give us subjects and stuff to talk about, your opinions. I would love to hear what you guys think about this free agency market and all the trades that have gone down, because it has been nuts. Speaking of trades, what did you think about Matt Ryan being traded from Atlanta?
Oh, I think that's a great move for him. He can end his career on maybe a higher note, because his expectations were so high over in Atlanta, just because, the history. So I think it's going to be good for him. Success in playoffs, I don't know about that, but, a little bit happier, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was quite shocked to see them acquire Matt Ryan. I did not hear any reports that Ryan would be traded up until like a week before it actually happened. And it was only because of Deshaun Watson, actually. I heard they were trying to acquire him, and then, one thing led to another. You kind of prefaced it earlier when you said Baker Mayfield may not have the skill or the leadership ability. What do you think is going to happen with him, given that Cleveland added Jacoby Brissett and, as we mentioned, Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I think he's done. Honestly, I think maybe if somebody does sign him, maybe as a backup, if he does end up in a starting role somewhere, I think he's going to play 3 or 4 weeks, and they're going to find somebody else. I'm sure maybe the rookie that somebody picks up in this draft, but I think he's done. I could be wrong. There are still some teams that need a quarterback. Seattle's needs one, but I don't think that his personality would go very well over there. So who knows? Maybe Pittsburgh, they can handle his toughness.
That would be interesting. See him try and play the Browns twice a season.
Right.
Pittsburgh did add Mitch Trubisky, though. What did you think about that move? I mean, obviously he's not a surefire starter. There's going to be a competition. Does not preclude them from, adding another quarterback. Do you think he's going to end up being the starter?
I'm not sure. I think that really is going to depend on this offseason and just adding more depth to the chart and see. I don't believe in Trubisky at all, so we'll see. I think they're going to have to add somebody else for sure. A good competition between him and Baker would be nice, though.
That would definitely be interesting. Him, Baker, and then Dwayne Haskins, who actually returned. I don't know that he's actually going to pan out, but
practice squad.
Yeah, bunch of first-round picks. I could see him on the practice squad for sure. Man, there's just so much to cover. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what's like the next biggest story. I mean, obviously,
I got a couple here. I don't know. I would just we need wide receivers over in New England. So I know that this offseason, there's been a lot of big pickups in free agency, so there's still a couple that are on my list. I'd like Jarvis Landry or AJ Green. Even I know that OBJ is kind of probably a far fetch, but I know Matt Judon's kind of been trying to get them over. So hopefully maybe we can land a big wide receiver, and then I know we're going to draft another wide receiver. I'm thinking that this guy from Alabama that we're going to get will be a good mix with Mac Jones.
I could definitely see them targeting a wide receiver in the draft. I was kind of surprised to see them overlook the position in free agency. Obviously, Eagles fans are very familiar with Nelson Aguilar and how little he can produce on the field. And you guys have Kendrick Bourne and N'Keal Harry, I think it is. And
N'Keal, there's no way they're going to cut him. He's not going to play this season. he's made it very clear that he's unhappy. He's unhappy with his role. He's not producing. That was a complete first round bust. I was pretty upset about that, but I don't think he's going to start. I mean, we got Meyer as well. But I think we really still need to add some more. Everybody knows that's our biggest weakness right now. We're great at defense. Our running back situation is unbelievable. We're building our offensive line. We'll probably draft a couple more of those guys, but we need wide receivers in order to compete with anybody in our division right now.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. You mentioned it very well when you pointed out that they have a lot of other talented positions or position groups on offense. I mean, tight end is unreal for them with Hunter Henry and I think it was Jonnu Smith. And yeah, Mac Jones played really well last season, but giving the young guy another, deep threat is something that they have to prioritize in the draft this offseason. What did you make of the Khalil Mack trade? I know it was kind of an under the radar trade given everything that happened, but he is now in Los Angeles, not San Diego. Man, I'm almost blowing these names left and right. With the Chargers.
I don't think it was just so early, and then it was right before all of these big ones. I think that's kind of why I got thrown under the bus. But I think it's great. I mean, they just lost Von Miller, so I'm thinking that's why they let Von go. Max solid. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great addition to their team. It would have been nice if they could have kept Vaughn, but you can't have two of those guys. There's no way they'd be able to afford that. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be nice. We'll see how they do this season.
Definitely, it will be interesting to see them twice a year up close in Denver. What do you think about the Chiefs? I mean, they've made some moves, like you said. They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster. To replace Tyreek Hill. I think they just signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Kind of like, it seems like almost a addition by subtraction type deal, where they're getting rid of Tyreek Hill, who they had to pay a bunch of money, and in turn replacing him with multiple different bodies in hopes of kind of having a group mentality there. What do you think about that?
I think they're on the right track still. I don't think their team has gone plus or minus at all. Those are solid wide receivers. I think Coleman's coming back too for them, if I'm not mistaken. I think he took a year off after they won the Super Bowl or something like that. But solid wide receivers for sure. Their team's going to be great. They did just sign. They signed as the running back to go in with Hilaire. So I think their offense is still going to be super solid. Don't know who's going to stop them in the AFC. Maybe the Broncos. We'll try.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be a fun games to watch this year. Lots of high scoring games, I expect.
Definitely.
Well, shoot. Man, what do you think the Patriots are going to do in the draft outside of wide receiver?
Oh, linemen like we always do. We need offensive linemen and guards. With Shaq Mason, now gone. We never do well with wide receivers. So I think we'll pick the one from Alabama, maybe another one from Boise State that's been out there. And then that's really it. There's one hopeful. I'd like, another strong safety or another cornerback in the draft as well.
That's right. Who do they have right now at safety? I know they still, like you said, they brought back McCourty, and they have Adrian Phillips, I think.
Correct. But in order to compete with these big teams, we're going to have to add somebody that's a little bit faster. So McCourty's great, but I was even surprised on that signing. He's getting old. He's up there. So, we'll see what we do in the draft, and then we'll have a good conversation about that.
Absolutely. So you prefaced it earlier. Von Miller ended up leaving for Buffalo with a huge contract. A lot of us wanted to see him back in Denver. It didn't come to fruition. We signed Radney Gregory instead. What do you make about his role in Buffalo? Do you think Buffalo's got what they need for the Super Bowl run this year?
Definitely. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for Mac Jones right now. That's why I'm saying we need better offensive linemen, because if not, he's going to get eaten up. It's only his second year. We all know about the second year slump, and then having big old Von Miller coming at you. That's a great signing for the Bills. That honestly made me think, they're a Super Bowl contender. We talked about it all last year, how they were, and they're just adding to their roster. So I'm excited for them, but not so excited for my team having to go against them so many times. I honestly thought he was going to come to the Broncos, though. I saw all of his Facebook posts, and I think he wanted to come back to Denver. But I think he was just offered something he couldn't refuse in Buffalo.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I think Denver offered him somewhere in the neighborhood of $13 million a year. Buffalo was offering over $17 million a year, and arguably a better overall roster than Denver, given they just traded away quite a few key players to their team. But I'm moving on to a completely different subject. What did you make of Sean Payton stepping down? Did you see that coming at all?
I did not see that coming. I really want to know what the real reason was. There's got to be something that we don't know that happened there. I feel like it was kind of, I don't know how do you put this in a nice way. He doesn't want to stick with his team when they're losing. He was there for a long time. He made them. They're a Super Bowl contender every year. They got screwed in the playoffs every year. They should have won more than they did, and they had Breeze. I don't know why he left. I think he just quit. I think he gave up. I didn't think he wanted to work to get back to where he was.
I haven't heard anybody say it in those words except for myself, because honestly, I agree. I think he was 100% trying to escape a bad situation. The Saints came into this offseason like $80 million over the cap. And granted, I will give Mickey Loomis all the props he deserves, because he got them somehow under the cap, and now they have the 6th most cap space available, which is mind-boggling to me. But like you mentioned, they've had Drew Brees for years. They've always kind of underperformed, and he went through so much there with the Saints. I mean, whether it was the Bountygate situation, winning a Super Bowl after Katrina, all these situations that I think he looked at this upcoming season and he was like, man, I don't have Drew Brees here anymore. I might not even have Jameis Winston. We missed out on Deshaun Watson. I think I'm just going to hang it up. Go spend a year in the booth, and maybe I'll come back and coach Dallas in a couple seasons.
That's a good bet right there.
It's all the speculation. That's what I've heard anyway, is that he was angling for the Dallas job, and he was hoping that Mike McCarthy was fired this season. But I guess we'll see what happens. He may not get fired at all.
I think they'll stick with him for another year at least, but we all know how Dallas goes.
Yeah, exactly. Man, there's just so much going on. It's like my brain's running to one thing or another.
Is this not the craziest offseason we've ever had? Like, yeah, I can't believe this. Like, all of these, big signings, trades, everything. Do you think Gronk comes back?
I saw him talking all this big game about returning, even if Brady retired. So I definitely think he'll be back, and I definitely only think he's signing with the Bucs if he does.
Absolutely.
I don't see him going anywhere else.
No, there was rumor that he was going to go somewhere else, and I just couldn't believe any of that. Like, it's not Gronk. And honestly, he's made a comment that he's only going to catch touchdowns from Tom Brady, and I believe that.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, that would literally be like the only quarterback he's ever played with, right? I don't.
Well, no, because when Brady got suspended for those,
right.
4 weeks, and whenever he was injured, so Jimmy G.
That's right. You're right. Totally spaced out the suspension. Man, talk about a frivolous suspension if I've ever heard one. But Roger Goodell loves those things. But what do you?
That's okay. We won a Super Bowl out of it.
That's true. He got a 4-week vacation, and he still got a ring. So that really shoved it right.
Absolutely. That one was the sweetest.
I can only imagine. Can you just? Oh man, I can't imagine how Brady felt getting the trophy handed to him from Goodell right after that suspension. Just like,
yeah, right. That was absolutely my favorite Super Bowl for sure.
I bet. I mean, shoot, as a Patriots fan, how could you not love that whole redemption story? Not that he needed any more added to his legend, but I mean, that was definitely interesting. So in Atlanta, like we just talked about, they traded away Matt Ryan, but they brought in Marcus Mariota. I kind of think this is precluding them to draft a quarterback, specifically Malik Willis. What do you think about that? And do you see them drafting a quarterback this offseason?
Definitely. I mean, Marcus is great. He's at the end of his career. He's a quarterback too. He's not a quarterback one. I was excited about that signing just because I'm a Marcus Mariota fan. I really liked him and watched him his whole career, so I like that. But they're definitely going to need to get Malik Willis, and I heard that Bill was meeting with him too, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, just out of nowhere. But that's what Bill does. He likes to explore his options. Always keeps the door open. But I definitely think they're going to need to draft a quarterback, and there's just not a lot this season. So that's going to make it really tough for these teams without a quarterback. Maybe that's why Baker ends up landing a number one job when he shouldn't be.
Yeah. Actually, I think the draft had a lot to do with all these veteran trades that we saw this offseason. Teams are scrambling to get somebody in when in reality they're kind of settling to a certain extent. A lot of people think the 2023 draft is going to be a lot better with, I think it's Bryce Young and several other players. But I haven't really got into the 2023 draft yet. To be completely honest, I haven't really done a whole lot of 2022 draft research yet. I've been so caught up in all the other leagues right now.
Free agency right now. How do you even have time with the draft, with everything that's going on in free agency? I mean, there's still so many big names on the board. So much to happen still.
That's true. Like you mentioned before, there's Stephon Gilmore. Man, so many people that I'm just blanking off the top of my head because of all these signings that have happened.
Julio! I'd like to see Julio, but I think that's another far-fetched there. But it's possible. Butler just came over, and I never thought I'd see Butler in a Patriot jersey ever again. So
that's for sure. They've been making a lot of those under the radar signings, but I mean, that's like you said, what Bill does.
Yep. Second round of free agency is really when we start doing things. I heard you and Cedric talking earlier, and you're poking your team. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like with the Eagles, you're like, are you gonna do something? Will you do something, please?
Yeah, exactly. That's been this entire offseason after the Reddick signing for me. Like I said, not real thrilled with the Zach Pascal signing. He's all right. I kind of think he's going to end up being our third receiver. Then, I was happy that we addressed linebacker, but we still have so many holes. I mean, we need defensive end help. We had 0 pass rush last year. Reddick's going to help that, but I don't think he's going to be the sole part of that solution. And then, we need a cornerback too. With Steven Nelson gone, we need a safety. With Rodney McLeod gone, we could even use offensive line depth, given that Brandon Brooks retired. I mean, literally, the Eagles are probably the worst playoff team from the 2021 season, as much as I hate to say that. But it was a rough year. So, I mean, nobody should be excited about 9-8, and then even if it ends in a playoff run.
Yeah, well, you're welcome for that Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's what's keeping you guys all up still. So,
I didn't even think about that. That's kind of funny. It will be interesting to see if we can ever get back to those heights with Jalen Hurts. What do you think about Jalen Hurts as a quarterback? Do you think he was a downgrade from Carson Wentz?
No, I don't think it was much of an upgrade. But Wentz, man, you just can't stay healthy. That was going to be my next question to you: is how do you feel about Wentz over at in Washington? Because Jalen, they got to build around him. But we'll see. I think this year is really going to be the test if he's going to be a number one anymore or not. If he does not do well this season, then he can count himself out. But we'll see.
I definitely agree. Actually, I think we have 3 first-round picks right now, but I'm fully expecting Howie Roseman to trade one of them away to get an extra pick for the 2023 draft in order to kind of have something in his back pocket in case he needs to trade up to get a quarterback. It's kind of like something he's known for, setting himself up for the future. So I could see it happening again this season.
Absolutely.
As far as Carson Wentz in Washington, to use a pretty played out meme across the Eagles fan base right now, I'm looking forward to the Eagles catching more Carson Wentz passes because it's going to happen. He's going to be throwing balls to our team at some point. He chokes under pressure. He does not have the mentality of being a franchise quarterback. And that's coming from somebody who still has Carson Wentz gear in my closet upstairs that I literally will not wear because of it. He was the guy who was supposed to be our savior. And 4 years later, we realized that it was more important for us to draft a quarterback in the second round than it was to continue with him. So that should go to tell you everything you need to know about him as an NFL player, I think. Now he's had 2 teams move on after what I think he's in his 6th season. So he's making a lot of money for a guy who's getting traded around the league as often as he is. I would be surprised to see him in Washington after 2023, to be honest. I expect them to move on.
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit it right there, man. I think there's something going on in the locker room. You know, leadership is huge in the NFL. Why did Tom Brady have such great success? Why does everybody still want to play with him? Nobody wants to play with Wentz. What's going on in the locker room? You know, even people want to play with Drew Lock.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% correct when it comes to that. Mentality is everything. And I honestly think Wentz kind of showed that he had a fragile mindset as soon as Hurts was drafted. And I truly believe in, bottom of my heart, Jalen Hurts was not drafted to replace Carson Wentz. He was drafted to be a backup and to be a developmental piece and a guy who could kind of play that Taysom Hill style role, come in and run the ball occasionally, play a little tight end and stuff. And then it just ended up being that Wentz let it get in his head. He played terribly, took sacks left and right like there was it was nobody's business. And then they just had no choice but to move on, which unfortunately ended up in us firing the only Super Bowl winning coach in Eagles history. But you move on, and Nick Sirianni's done all right. So I guess I can't complain too much.
Oh, man, I loved Doug, even though he beat us. But, yeah, I think you're absolutely right, with the whole Jalen Hurts, him being drafted to be the backup. Coaches do that. Why do we keep signing Brian Hoyer? He's a solid number 2. But, Wentz, I feel bad for him. His ego was shattered time and time again with the Super Bowl. Nick Foles was the guy. And then, they bring in Jalen Hurts. That'll kill, a guy's confidence. Now it's up to him to get it back up. But, I think ever since then, he's just never going to be the same. And I think his career is coming to an end as well.
I agree. I mean, I'm not going to lie. A little piece of me still rooted for him when he was in Indy. I was hoping that he would make the playoffs and have a deep run and finally get to, hopefully have some success in the playoffs without getting injured. Ultimately, he's in Washington now, so now I can no longer root for him at all, and I have to hope for him to lose every week. So there's that. But, moving on, it is what it is. There's him and Jared Goff just go to show that while it's a good mentality to target a guy and sell the farm if you really think he's the franchise quarterback, it's also a good mentality to move on the second that guy shows you he's not. So, we see Jared Goff in Detroit now. We see Carson Wentz in Washington now. And those guys were the first and second pick in that draft that year. So, it just goes to show you that you never know which quarterback's going to come out of a draft class and who's going to end up being the best of the bunch. And it looked like we both struck out, unfortunately, as far as the Rams and the Eagles go. Are you familiar too much with DJ Chark, who just signed in Detroit?
A little bit. I'm not a fantasy league. I had him a couple of years ago, and I did really well. But that was during their big heyday season with what's his face, mustache guy,
Gardner Minshew.
There we go. I can't space that one, but yeah, with Minshew, he was solid for Minshew. His size is nice. His speed is kind of there. I think he's a solid 2, but he's a good wide receiver for sure. If New England had a chance to pick him up, I'd pick him up. So if that says anything about how I feel about him.
That was definitely my thought as well. He was number 2 on my list. I was hoping he would end up in Philly. But I guess he signed a 1-year, $10 million contract to go play for Detroit. So Jared Goff gets himself a big receiver, and hopefully they can make some magic.
Yeah. So I got a question for you. Jimmy
Absolutely.
G.
Yeah.
What do you think's gonna happen with Jimmy G?
Oh man, I've been thinking. I really thought he was going to end up in Indianapolis. Um, when the speculation was out that he was the next guy, prior to the offseason entirely and prior to Mitch Trubisky being signed right away, I thought that he was going to end up in Pittsburgh. I called it several times before offseason even started, but so far I'm batting 1,000 on being wrong with all my predictions, so that's cool. But yeah, he's running out of options. I don't see where he's going to go, and I could potentially see him returning to San Francisco as the starter. There was some speculation early on in the offseason that Trey Lance isn't yet ready to start and that they were going to ask too much, assuming that they were only going to give him up if they got the right offer. And it kind of looks like that's what's come to fruition. What would you think about him returning as a starter and Trey Lance riding the bench again?
I honestly think that's the way to go. I really didn't like the fact that people wanted to get rid of him. I have so much love for Jimmy G. I was so sad when the Patriots got rid of him, and I would love to have him back. So, Bill, if you want to bring him back, Mac Jones can learn something. He did really well in our offense. I think they're right. Why do they want to rush something? For somebody good? Their future is bright. They were a great team last season, besides, them not really getting along with Jimmy G. Yeah, he throws too many interceptions. Yeah, he needs to throw the ball away sometimes. But, he can be taught. I think he's still going to be a solid, quarterback for him.
Absolutely. I think he's one of those guys that he's a game manager, and he may not necessarily be a guy who's going to lead you to a Super Bowl anymore on his own. He's going to need a team around him, but there's a reason why he was drafted in the second round by Bill Belichick. We all know that Belichick is a hell of a GM. He's a great talent evaluator, and there's a reason why Jimmy G was drafted so high. It was not a mistake. He was supposed to replace Brady in New England. It didn't pan out. And I think he ultimately sent him to San Francisco because he believed that was the best possible place for Jimmy G to succeed. I honestly think Jimmy G is kind of like Bill's boy. And I could definitely see him end up back with the Patriots if he can't find another starting job in 2023. I guess there's still room for him to make a trade later in the season, but I ultimately think he's going to be returning in San Francisco this year.
I agree. It was the whole injury that made it so San Francisco couldn't trade him, and now everybody's like, why am I going to do that? I think it's going to still be a solid year for San Francisco, and it's going to be Jimmy trying to keep his job. So he's really got to step up his game, and then if not, somebody else can get him for a little bit cheaper. So I think his future is bright, and you're right. Bill drafted him so high in the draft for a reason. I wanted him to be Brady's replacement. Not that I don't love Mac Jones, but I have not gotten a Mac Jones jersey. If that says anything, I'm still on the fence. I don't know how this is gonna go. This is really gonna be the year for us to tell. But Jimmy G's solid quarterback, so I'd like him to see him come back if we could.
Absolutely. It would be interesting. He's a little expensive for a backup, but I guess you guys do have a rookie quarterback starting, so you got that benefit, and it would still end up being about, median for the league as far as quarterback contracts go. But anyway, we're getting near the 11 o'clock hour. I figure we'll probably wrap it up here, but my last question to you, ultimately, do you think this is the last season for Tom Brady? And how do you think he's going to go out? Is he going to be in a Super Bowl again? Is he going to end up having to bow his head without a Super Bowl to go out on?
You know what? I think he has a chance of winning it again this year. As long as he's playing, he's always going to be in the contention, especially with, Devontae leaving. Who's going to stop him over there? What team is actually going to stop Tom Brady from going to the Super Bowl? So I think that, he possibly goes this year. If he wins it, I think he retires. If not, don't count him out. Do not count him out. I really think that he may return again. That depending on injury and everything this season, but yeah, I think he really does want to play till he's 55. At this point.
It kind of seems that way. I mean, I actually heard speculation when he returned that this may not be his only season returning. So do you think we see him pull a Brett Favre where he retires again and then comes back out of retirement and or is it just going to be, he's playing, then he hits his point and he retires and he's done now?
Nah, he could definitely pull a Brett Favre. Say, he sits out for a season, he gets injured, something like that. He sees a good opportunity to come back with a solid team who needs a quarterback. Exactly what he just did now. He's going to stay in shape. We all know how Tom Brady is. Whether he's playing football or not, he's going to stay in football shape, essentially. It's just how he is. He likes to take care of his body. So whenever he wants to come back, he'll be able to. And I think that's a good possibility.
Absolutely. Well, once again, Ariel, I appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun talking to you. I look forward to having many more, discussions like this, and I'll hit you up about it, but I definitely want you coming on more often. And like I said before, as often as you want. So, I offered LaCedric a co-host position. I haven't talked to you about it yet, but here's the offer. If you want it, it's on the table for you specifically. I would love to have both you and LaCedric as part of the team. You guys are extremely knowledgeable. And like I said, I got big dreams. It may not seem like it yet, but we're on the path. Just got to keep promoting and bring in the right people that know what they're talking about and can help me on this road. So I definitely think you're one of them. You've got a lot of motivation. As I mentioned before, you were my boss for a reason. So if you're interested, we'll definitely talk more about it off camera.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me, Sam. This was fun. I know my wife's going to appreciate me not, babbling to her about all this football talk. And it's nice to actually talk to somebody else. LaCedric is awesome. I love Gemini to the fullest. So I'd love to banter with him one day as well.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned to you guys off camera, I haven't gotten to that point yet, but the next big thing is going to be upgrading the StreamYard app so we can get multiple guests on at once, and then we will definitely be doing a roundtable with the three of us, and maybe even new daddy Jordan Martinez out there. So I hear it's coming quick. Also, before we get off of here, I wanted to do a quick shout out for my brother, Tyler who just hit 30 years old today. It's his birthday today, on the same day that I might be having another nephew running around in this world. So it's kind of cool. So anyways, like I said, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I will definitely throw you a message when we get off camera.
Cool. Thanks, man. Happy birthday, Tyler. See you guys later.
All right, guys. Once again, that was LaCedric Green and Ariel Monarez. I was super happy to have both of them agree to come join us, and I am so excited to have them come back in the future. Both of these guys are extremely knowledgeable, like I mentioned before, and I have the utmost respect for their knowledge of the game, the people they are, and just generally they're good people. They're good human beings. So they've been supporting me even before I even talked to them about coming on the channel, and now they've been pushing the channel that much more, and that's exactly what we're looking for. I am looking in the future to bring on other people who have knowledge of other sports. Right now, I think we got football covered, but I am looking to bring in people who are interested in covering sports. We changed the name to Shady Sports Network for a reason. It is not a mistake. I have every intention of turning this into a network of content creators that are aware of their sports on another level. I do not have the knowledge to speak on basketball or hockey. And while I am a gearhead and I have many friends who are gearheads, I do not feel comfortable talking about racing in the manner that I talk about football. So in the future, I am looking to add coverage of other sports. If you're interested in this and you see this video, shoot me a message. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Basically every social media platform you have, I probably have it, and you can find me on there at SamShady Sports or just SamShady. I'm looking to grow this in another level and another way for the future. I'm looking for collaboration videos, whatever we need to get us on the map. We've had great growth so far through the first 3 months. And I think this is definitely the foundation for something amazing. And I think bringing on Cedric and bringing in Ariel more often in the future is the first step of many steps we will need to make this something great. But I think it's attainable. I think, like I said, this is the foundation. We're not there yet. We got a long way to go. We just hit 100 subscribers, just topped 2,000 watch hours. Or sorry, not 2,000 watch hours, 2,000 views and 150 watch hours. I'm not even to my goal for my 6-month mark yet. So I got a long way to go. If you like the content and you are enjoying what you see, please share, like us on every platform, follow us. Make sure to tell your friends that are football nerds. If you have anybody that you know would be interested in doing this, joining the channel, speaking football, I'm always open to that. I am constantly looking for more perspectives and more views on this game. And you don't just have to be in the comments. Just hit me up. I'm open to whatever. This is new. It's not defined yet. It doesn't have a true set path quite yet. So it's open to interpretation for the foreseeable future. With that being said, I'm hoping, like I said, to bring on many other contributors that can shoot solo videos or collab videos about other sports to further grow this network. Just hit me up, like I said. But anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the talk that we had. We recapped most of the big moves in free agency. This will be far from our only video this year, talking about all the things that have gone on, and we will likely have to schedule another one post-draft so we can address what our teams have done and the overall league has done. Stay tuned. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, share the videos. Like I said, we're growing. We could use all the help we can get. Until next time, have a good Sunday.